How high can someone fly?
See the sunset.
This is what comes to my mind when I think of Death Stranding, a result of the dedication of hundreds of developers testing their luck trying to make a product that had no guarantee of a traditional success. Looking at trends and how the industry has relied more and more towards taking less and less risk, it's a wonder in itself that Death Stranding exists. But it does exist.
I will hold you and protect.
Largely due to Hideo Kojima's fame and PlayStation's continued efforts to evolve storytelling in video games.
The time full fast forwards whatever it touches, but it can't wash everything away. The past just won't let go. I'll see you around. Sam Porter Bridges.
Death Stranding has nothing traditional. Everything about it is an experiment done with the intention of pushing forward the medium. From cutscenes lasting for 28 minutes straight, to simply the entire game being about traversal and making deliveries. This is a rare phenomenon in gaming, possibly one that only Hideo himself could have embarked upon. And with the sequel just around the corner, I finally decided to look what makes Death Stranding so controversial and yet so unique. To go through this game from the first cutscene to the last, you have to spend approximately 30 hours just traversing a post-apocalyptic America. You could possibly go through the entire game without killing anyone, defying a stereotype so typical of video games. Because ever since the dawn of gaming, it has focused on giving the players a sense of victory over the enemies, a conquering of some sorts. So much so that it has become almost impossible in today's age to drain millions upon millions into a gaming product that doesn't involve essentially defeating your enemies. Well, Death Stranding is entirely about defeating our protagonist, Sam Porter's internal enemies. At the start of the game, Sam does not care about anything in this world. The only thing he did care about is gone. This is his internal enemy that is forced to remove any last trace of humanity from Sam Porter Bridges. For all he cares about, the world could end tomorrow, and he probably couldn't care less. That is, however, at the start of the game. The dirty, messy terrain of Death Stranding's America forces both us, the players, and Sam himself to look at this world from an entirely different perspective. But first of all, what is Death Stranding and why Death Stranding? An act of Amelie's love for Sam, born out of guilt and despair. A desperation to resolve guilt caused an event that destroyed the entire world. Amelie caused Death Stranding, leading beached things to roam Earth and never be able to seek resolution or peace in the afterlife. The unfortunate thing is our protagonist cannot even find the afterlife peace either, because he is a repatriate, but that does not stop him from seeking any resolution. This is what Death Stranding is all about. But not just that. It also forced mankind to survive in new, evolving ways, build underground bunkers and live in isolation. Ultimately, it's the strength of our species to continue to survive no matter what. Connecting America, expanding the chiral network, and solving the biggest mystery in the history of their civilization. Not that Sam cares about rebuilding a broken world, but he does care about love, which is going to be the driving force behind this story and gameplay, helping each other out. Your goal is simple. Extend the chiral network and help everyone you find on your way to the Edge Knot City. For this is the first time the pain and struggle of traveling to the edge of the country is actually going to come across as realistically as the design of a video game can possibly simulate. And truth be told, Sam really doesn't care about helping anyone, but he has no choice to not do it. He will find his resolve through helping Amelie.
I'll be waiting for you. on the beach.
A very common question arises then among players. Why should Sam help Amelie? Is this enough of a reason to justify traveling thousands of miles in such a dangerous world? If Sam really doesn't care about bringing America together, why should he bother risking his life? The only possible answer to all of these questions is posing an entirely different question. Why shouldn't he? Why shouldn't he protect the only woman he loves in this world anymore?
Here. It's a dream catcher. Wear it when you sleep, and I'll keep the nightmares away. I'll always be with you.
As a kid, when Sam used to be stranded on the beach, Amelie used to show him the way, a key poo that guided him out of his nightmares. And so now it's time for Sam to guide Amelie out of the darkness. It's an act of love, Sam's love for Amelie, just like how Amelie's love for Sam caused Death Stranding to begin with, a contradiction in itself that while love can cause the most destructive things known to mankind, it can also often unite an entire civilization. This was the aim of director Hideo Kojima with Death Stranding. Just like how the event of this apocalypse is an act of Amelie's love for Sam, the entire concept upon which the game stands is merely a result of Kojima's love for the video game community. It's his deeply personal memoir that proudly stands against the constant vitriol that we see among people each other online. Hence, he created a world where players would now continue to help each other online and ease the pain of climbing this gigantic mountain through whatever resources each person has. Roads and pavements that once seemed impossible to build would now be built in just a few sessions. Porters would help each other traverse long distances through massive zipline networks. And ironically, as much as the game divided its audience upon the launch, it unknowingly united everyone who ever played it. There is no negative reaction to the efforts of millions of porters coming together. You can only support each other in Death Stranding. This is a much needed game, even in today's hateful online world, because none of this is the effort of one single player. We all pitched in whatever we had with ourselves to rebuild a broken world.
All things must come to an end, ourselves included. But as long as we savor each moment, find joy in the promise of tomorrow, embrace hope, and reject despair, we will endure.
In that Death Stranding transcends this entire medium, where throughout history we have only been taught to cut, bleed, and damage the people of these virtual worlds, which is not wrong by any means, but for once, we are taught to heal the world one step at a time, deliver not just packages, but hope across a broken America. It's a prayer of connection and love, one fumbled step at a time. And Kojima found that the best way to deliver his idea of Death Stranding is not by lecturing, but by letting you feel the hope of Death Stranding. This is where it becomes about the greatness of video games as a storytelling medium. Unlike any other medium where you are given a very curated experience based upon the desire of the creator, in video games you control the character you play as. Your experience in this world defines the story of this world that you consume. Every time you find a letter or decide to deliver a lost package, you realize yourself that you're not alone. Someone else has been in your shoes before, quite literally, and decided to help any future traveler coming across the same way. So then you go out of your way, endure the pain that you didn't have to place 4 new letters for other travelers that no one told you to do. But you did anyway because you just couldn't resist not helping other people. These ladders, in other ways, are a way of saying, keep on going, it's gonna get easier with time. Kojima taught us to give back to this virtual world and hopes that we continue to go on and apply the same concept in our lives too. Not through lecturing, but by feeling the pain of others.
Sam, I owe you an apology. Lou was the name you were going to give your own baby if he'd had made it. I should have pieced it together sooner.
Sam's journey then becomes a metaphor for the player's own. You carry the weight of others, you suffer from the terrain, you trip, you fall, you stand back up, and even when the goal seems absurd, carrying a dying dream of unity across an America that no longer wants to be united, you keep going. Because someone needs you to. Because you were once saved by someone else. Because somewhere deep down you still believe in that idea of connection. A connection to your past, the unexplored past. So much of the game is about building the player's curiosity surrounding this mysterious soldier. Who is he? Which is answered by his very consistent attempts of capturing Sam's baby, maybe his father. And having known the true answer to that question, it's clear that the writers were trying to mislead the audience to perceive Clifford Unger as an enemy, just like how Sam perceives him as an enemy. But in reality, Clifford Unger is Sam's family and the biggest victim of this tragedy. Everything you experience with Clifford up to this point is done very intentionally to keep pushing the game's themes of connection, legacy, and the cost of isolation. The fact that he appears in these tragic battlefields despite the fact that he had never fought in a war in decades at this point is no coincidence. You see soldiers are the most innocent of lives fighting at the front line at the times of a war, following orders and bearing the worst consequences of war. They have no control over something so tragic. Thousands of soldiers die in the name of a larger cause, justice, and control over power and land. They are the victims of government's misplaced policies who have nothing to gain but everything to lose. And Clifford perfectly fits that description of victimhood that such a tragedy brings with itself.
Take BB and get out of this place. There's nothing I can do for your wife. I'm sorry.
In the world of Death Stranding, every single person has their own beach. However, multiple souls can get stuck on a beach, or rather a tangling of beaches when all of them die nearing the same exact moment. In a war, I mean. It's a manifestation of the pain, betrayal, and loss caused to Clifford by the systems far larger than himself. The war zones you traverse with him aren't literal, they are symbolic. Clifford had been a soldier, yes, but he hadn't fought in any war for decades. Yet, here he is, over and over locked in a battle. Why? Because he never stopped fighting. Not for a nation, not for a cause, but for his son.
See the sunset, the day is ending. Let that yawn out, there's no pretending. I will hold you and protect you from that love on you.
And when the truth is finally laid bare that Sam is Clifford's son, everything comes full circle. Those war zones weren't glimpses into some random soldier's trauma, they were a father's memories, corrupted and replayed, echoing through the beach and tethered to the only thing he couldn't let go of, his child.
That's all you said. You bring people together. You're their bridge to the future.
Death Stranding is obsessed with the idea of connection, but also with the consequences of losing it. Clifford Unger is the cost of isolation personified. He's what happens when love is denied its expression, when a father is stripped from his son, when a man is reduced to a tool by the machinery of power. His legacy and Sam's inheritance is not one of violence, but of grief misunderstood.
Not BB too.
No, 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 no!
Even the game itself remained pretty misunderstood for quite some time, and yet somehow I remember the exact moments when I first played this game. How every time a low roar song would pop up on my screen, my heart would jump with the joy of not a spectacle boss battle, but rather with the joy of peace, the joy of patience, and most importantly, the joy of connection. It's something that we all realized post-launch of Death Stranding, when the unfortunate COVID-19 pandemic forced us into a similar fate of isolation. A question of how long do we keep misunderstanding something until life puts us in those exact same shoes that we hated for so long. Death Stranding is driven by love, challenge, patience, rebuilding a broken world, legacy, inheritance, death, rebirth, the cycle of extinction, responsibility, and so many more things that I can't even begin to cover in a video this size. But most importantly, it has always been about connection. But should we have connected? That's an answer we're going to get in just a few more days. This is a video that I've been wanting to make from a long time. What better time to post it than exactly before the release of the sequel? If you liked it and would like to somehow support upcoming videos on this channel, you can do it through my Patreon given in the description of this video, or by simply continuing to stick through what's coming next on this channel.